Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, breadwinners, thread spinners, and all those in between, you are now watching the TNF podcast with your favorite bipolar rock and roller, Mr. J. Curtis Strickland. Uh, we got a few shows coming up. Let me pull them up real quick. I hope everybody could hear the intro all right because I just added some new. We got a brand new intro, and it was really awesome. Somebody animated that for me. But let's talk about the upcoming shows. The 21st, we have Sundar Ananda Das from Mudfoot and No Resistance. Oh, excuse me. We have Hoya from Madball. And then on the 21st, we have Sundar Ananda Das and from Mudfoot and No Resistance. Okay, I want to introduce my next guest. He is a bass player. He's been a longtime member of the music scene. He started as the bass player in Strongarm and currently plays in Further Seems Forever. Chad Neptune, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
It's going,
I
man. How are
like
you
I
today?
like the intro. I like the new intro.
You like it?
I don't know if I saw the
the old
old one, but I like the new one.
the old one was a little trashy, so I updated a little bit. Kind of going through some changes here, so
Gotcha.
it's nice. So I always ask this question of everybody, and this is kind of the most important one. Did you come from a musical family, and how did you get into music? How did you get into hardcore? What's your story as far as that's concerned?
Oh yeah, that's good. No, I did not come from a musical family, or like you hear most musicians talk about. My parents didn't have music on in the house. It was mostly just easy listening in the car growing up, you know. Um, but there were certain cues in like movies that I remember seeing Rocky 4, and when Survivor came on and did Eye of the Tiger, I was like moved by that. You know? I know it's cheesy, but I mean it's a great song, right? Um,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
good.
remember yeah, and then like Run DMC, like I got into hip hop, you know, but I think what I really loved about it was like the culture. Like at that time, like hip hop had like a very underground culture. Same with like metal, right? Um, so I think since I was young, I did really love to like go against the grain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I didn't really like the thought of like playing an instrument was like a very foreign thing. Like it just didn't seem attainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
We didn't have instruments in the house or anything like that. I think even my sister tried to tell me I was tone deaf, like all growing up, and I actually believed her, and I still make fun of her for that. But yeah, and uh I guess like getting into like punk and hardcore, I just I grew up a middle class family, and I just never really felt like I belonged in like any kind of like clique or environment, and like I just
Sure.
felt a lot of angst that, like most kids in the 80s, it was you're a latchkey kid. You have like there's like all kinds of things that you don't figure out is like not cool until later on in life, Um, and I just kind of really I got into skateboarding like most punk kids, and learned about a lot of the bands from that, like a bunch of my friends, and just like those old skate rock tapes that came out, and I had a friend, his name was Mike, and he would like show me all these like hardcore bands, mostly like New York hardcore, and I just remember being like, this is so cool. This is like so like it's like dangerous almost. You know what I mean?
Who are some of your
Yeah.
favorites?
Uh, like back then, or some of the bands that I got into. Well, that he
Yeah.
got me into like Sick of It All was like a early one, and
Nice.
like just you know, Blood, Sweat, No Tears was like like awesome, obviously, and like Judge and Gorilla Biscuits, a lot of the New York hardcore stuff, you know. Um,
Oh yeah.
there, and then like Descendants, got into some of the West Coast stuff, like more punk. But like, yeah, so a lot of it was pretty much like a lot of New York hardcore kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And and where did you kind of seg from there? Like you got into metal, you got into other styles of music?
You know, it's funny, I didn't really get into metal a whole lot until later in life. I was mostly so I was into that. I was into like NWA and like, Tribe Called Quest and like Public Enemy I loved a lot, and like those like hip hop bands. And then I kind of went from that into like hardcore. And yeah, I didn't and like I was very closed off to a lot of different types of music, like
Yeah.
I just like I thought of it as like butt rock or something, like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. And like later I'm like,
Bad
man,
rock.
these bands are great, I don't I
Yeah.
you know what, I used to get really annoyed about the people that would listen to it. So like all the people who were like into Pink Floyd and doing acid and
Oh yeah.
all, like I was like, oh, that's so annoying. I hate that.
Well,
You know?
Welcome to the Machine is one of the best freaking songs
Oh
ever.
man, it's great. It's great. I
So
felt
good.
yeah, I feel it's almost embarrassing, but yeah, that's the truth.
One that I couldn't get into it for a long time was AC/DC, and then one day it just clicked for me. I'm like, oh man, this is like anytime you throw on AC/DC, it becomes like instant party. You're just like, yeah,
Yeah. I kinda went like it was the same thing. Yeah, like AC/DC couldn't get into it. Then I was like, man, there's some good songs. Hell's Bells, like really good. And then, like, now it's, like, kind of annoying again because, like, I had my son, he, like, plays baseball, and it seems like every kid would have Thunderstruck on as their, like, walk-up music, and it's like, "Alright, it's time to retire AC/DC."
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things when we get older, um, we kind of appreciate what comes before us a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, truth, yeah.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about your foray into hardcore music. Do you remember the first show you ever went and saw and what the experience was like?
I do, and it's interesting because, I was like, my friend Mike, he was like my best friend at the time, and like we would skate all the time. And I told my parents I was sleeping over at his house, and he's like, "Dude, we got to go to this." He was a couple years older than me, and he's like, "We got to go see these bands play in Miami at this club in Miami called the Cameo." And the show, like I had no idea the bands, but the show was it was Reason to Believe and Uniform Choice, I think, was supposed to play. There was a bunch of other bands. I think Judge may have played too. It was I like it's kind of like a blur, but it's not a blur to me. And I was so scared that I just like tried to stay out of the way in the back of the club. But it was like mesmerizing. And it's so
Nice.
funny because then later I end up John Bunch, who is the singer for Reason Believe, I end up playing in a band with him. So
Of course, yeah.
it's like one of
Rest in
those
peace.
weird like serendipitous things.
No, that's weird when that works out like that. And so like you felt like a sense of danger. You felt
Yeah.
like wow, this is insane.
Yeah, it's and Miami has an interesting scene too. There was a lot of machismo, it's a lot of puffing your chest out, but um that's most hardcore, but there's like such like some like really random things that like I remember seeing and being like, that is crazy. Like a guy like crowd surfing, and he had a prosthetic leg, and he's hitting people with his prosthetic leg, and I was, like, terrified. You know? But I loved it
That's
at the
something
same time.
else.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, there's always this like everybody's got their like crazy hardcore stories of things that went on. You know, I'm sure you've got plenty. Now before Strong Arm, did you have any like proto bands? Did you have any like high school bands or anything like
Sure.
that?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually, I started playing bass, and I lived in Texas for a couple of years in high school. Moved from Florida to Texas. My dad's job moved there. And that's where I really didn't have much friends. I lived in a small town outside of Dallas that our high school had a rodeo team and like stuff like that. And just, I more or less kept to myself. And there was a couple of kids that went to school there that were punks, that I didn't really have anything in common with because I was more into like straight edge, and so I was almost like an outcast from the outcast, I guess you would say.
Sure,
And
sure.
and yeah, and I was just like, oh, I would think I want to learn how to like play an instrument. So I just liked bass and learned how to play there. And I ended up playing with a couple of kids there. Nothing serious or anything. I don't even think we wrote any songs. We were mostly just covered band songs that we liked, right? Then in I think 91 or 92, I moved back to Florida, and m- my sister had some friends who had a band called Ichthus in South Florida here, and basically it's the guys from Strongarm, minus Josh, and um, the singer from that band had ended up leaving, and the bass player ended up leaving. So I stepped in to play bass, and the guitar player, Jason, ended up singing and playing guitar. And then we got our friend Josh, who played in a band called Endure, who was in South Florida here, and Nick was an Endure too, and we kind of just like ended up merging. Endure
Mhm.
ended up breaking up, and some of the guys started this band called Tension, and then the other guys who didn't were in Strongarm, and we just did that, and that's kind of how that started. But Ichthus was not good. It was not. It was not. You know, it was
You always
it's
hear
hard.
about
Yeah.
musicians like you would think Strong Arm would be the first band, but everybody's like, "Oh no."
Oh, no.
Before that there was X and Y band, you know? And
Yeah.
so it's always interesting to hear about, kind of like humble upbringings from, before your first
Oh,
project, you know?
I mean, you got to. I mean, how do you know you can't you have to pay your dues. You have to write a lot of crap before you can write anything that's decent.
Absolutely, absolutely. Though there's some people that would probably go back and be like, "Oh my God, this is Chad
Oh,
from Strong Arm Furthest Seems Forever." It's like first band, it's so good.
yeah. It's funny is I always wonder, I was actually just thinking about this because my daughter bought me a Inside Out hoodie for Christmas,
Oh,
and
nice.
and I'm like, "Oh, this is a guy from Rage Against the Machine," and then I'm starting to think, do you think people will, like, go back and listen to that and be like, "What the hell is this?" You know?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Inside Out was a good jam.
Oh,
So okay, Strong Arm was pretty influential to me because kind of my upbringing in hardcore was through the Christian scene. I'm actually not a practicing Christian at this time, but when I heard Christian hardcore bands through one of my friends, I was like, "Oh wow, this is amazing!" Like this is really good. And I couldn't believe that it was Christian. I'm like, This is insane," Um, and Strong Arm was one of the first ones that I ever heard, and I was like, just completely blew my mind. Atonement, Advent of a Miracle. What what kind of, were you guys already involved in faith at that time, or was that something that kind of came along with playing hardcore? Did you grow up in like a religious background?
Yeah, no, so I actually am Jewish, like, I grew up Jewish, um,
Oh wow.
yeah, and so when I was probably about 15 or 16, I ended up, uh, you know, you I say giving my life to the Lord and just basically, um, I call myself a Messianic Jew, and but I didn't necessarily take it very serious, right? I don't
Mm.
there's difference it's like living your life, like, in a way that kind of aligns with your beliefs, right?
Sure.
Um, so I did feel that, and I did feel like I said, when I lived in Texas, like, I considered myself to be like a Christian because I wanted to follow the teachings of Christ, not because I'm into an organized religion called Christianity,
Mm.
and I think one of the great things about meeting, like, some of those guys in Ichthus was they had the same exact, like, feelings and beliefs and kinda came from and, like, musical taste as I did, and it was like, "Oh, I'm not alone, like, there's actually people who, feel this way," and it was really odd because being a Christian in a scene that, notoriously rebukes the, Christianity and religion in general, um,
Mm.
uh, it was weird, right? So, it was great to, like, meet those people and those types of people and to, be like, "Hey, do you wanna have a band?" And, hey, hardcore, we always felt like it's like, "Hey, this is your soapbox," right? Get on there and say what you believe, say what you think, and if people don't like it, they don't like it, whatever,
Mm.
and so that's what we did, and, it wasn't and we just kinda thought, "Hey," there were bands out there that were Christian, there was, like, Christian metal bands and the Stripers, and then there was a couple of, like, more, like, punk
Shout
kinda
at the
but
devil.
yeah. But, it was like it was cheesy, and
Sure.
it was like bands that were kinda put together to sound like popular bands so that Christian parents could feel okay about their kids listening to that kind of
Sure.
music,
Have you ever heard Christ, spelled Kryst, the Conqueror? It's Jerry Only's like Christian metal band. Have you ever heard of that?
I think I don't think I heard it, but I think I've heard of it. That's
It's pretty
interesting.
wild. It's pretty wild. Yeah. I
That's
didn't
so
even know
funny.
that was a thing. I knew Jerry Only was a Christian, but
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that band because I only knew him from
It
Misfits, but
man, there's someone else is in that band too, of notoriety. I can't remember though.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the whole, a lot of it just was cheesy. I had that experience. You know, no slight on this band, but Audio Adrenaline, Big
Yeah,
Big House.
exactly.
That was
Yeah.
not one for me, man. Like my mom tried to show that to me, and I was like,
There's
nah, I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like,
DC Talk and all those, and I
yeah,
remember, like, so, it's interesting, it's all pre-internet, of course, and, we just did our thing and, like, we made our demo just like most bands in South Florida and, like, that were trying to play music, and we, would send our demo out to all the zines, and, um you know, we ended up somehow connecting with, like, other bands, like, on the West Coast that were, like, similar, like Christian, like, into hardcore or punk in the scene, not just, like, cheesy bands, right?
yeah,
And yeah, so we played there was a big, Christian music festival in Illinois every year called Cornerstone, and
Yeah, I've been to Cornerstone.
oh yeah, so and it's just
I s- I saw you guys in 2000 when Chris was singing.
okay, okay, further.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had gone there, even before we had a band. There's a like just meeting other people from around the country and like all this like and that's I think where like the spirit-filled hardcore thing came from. Like there was bands like Focused and Unashamed and Overcome in Arizona and 6 Feet Deep in Cleveland, and there was like all these that, and it was like wow, like we're actually we're actually like met people that were like doing the same stuff as us. It was so cool. And I think Tooth and Nail, that's where they kind of got their traction going as well, because um there's so many kids out there that just were thirsty for real music, like, and they didn't, it wasn't that they didn't want to be Christian like their parents were so scared of. They just like wanted to like real bands, and like they were thirsty for it. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know if that
definitely. I
answered
mean,
your question, but I just kind
yeah,
of
yeah. No, I mean, I definitely got into a lot of the like the Tooth and Nail solid state catalog back in the day. I mean, we had Scott and Sean Jonas from Zayo on here. Those two albums were like hugely
Mhm.
influential to me. So what was kind of the formation? Like you guys all just knew each other from other bands, and then how did that work?
Yeah, knew each other from other bands, but I think the most important, the are you talking about Further or Strong Arm?
Strong Arm.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing with Strong Arm was we just like became best friends, like to this day. Like,
Yeah.
um, we weren't the greatest musicians. Like, probably Josh, our guitar player, was the best musician in the band, and just was, had a real ear for it, but like we just kind of learned together and just loved hanging out. Like we were always hanging out every day, and
Sure.
like teenagers, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, that was the biggest thing, and that's what I tell bands nowadays. I'm like, don't worry about finding the best drummer or be in a band with people that you like to be around, you know. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense because we went through a lot of members in our band, but it's true.
Well,
It's,
yeah, it does help when you all kind of get along. Let's see here. We're fielding questions, by the way, if
yeah,
anybody
sure. Oh,
ask some questions.
I see
Yeah,
some
there's
people
there's a
posting.
little
Yeah,
comment in here.
Disciples,
Screw that.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, No Innocent Victims, a good one. Figure 4.
yeah. Stand
Uh,
together can still get me hyped and choked up at the same time.
Stand there. I used to
Yeah,
be
I love. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I haven't heard the name that song so long. Stand Together, yeah. I remember it used to
What?
start with the bass, and I was always so like, "Oh no, I'm gonna screw this up." That's what I
I'm a
remember
little
about
out of
it.
the loop. Do you guys ever? I know Furnace Fest it's a last year, right? Somebody told me might be the last year of Furnace Fest.
It's the last year.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Do you ever
supposedly
think
it's the last year.
do you ever think there could be a possibility of a strong arm reunion?
I mean, I
I mean, I
like
know there
it.
was already one. Yeah, like another one.
Well, there was another Strong Arm reunion? We did
Well,
one
you
in
guys did
2000 when for the
2000. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that was the first Furnace Fest. We did it. I mean, and it's kind of
Okay.
I mean, it was like 2 years after we broke up. It wasn't like
Right.
so it's kinda yeah, but I guess it's a reunion. But, yeah, I mean, look, truth is I would love to do it. Steve would love to do it. Some of the other guys are. it's not that they don't wanna do it, it's just it's a lot of work to do it. We
Sure.
don't remember the songs, and everyone lives all around the country, and so we're not ruling I wouldn't say we're ruling it out. We would definitely Furnace Fest is seems like a good place to do it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Leave us in suspense. So, how did the connection come about with Tooth and Nail Solid State?
Yeah, so yeah, we had these demos. We did a demo of our actually, do I have it? I think I have some of my stuff. No, I don't. I thought I had it. So we did a demo with I think it was 3 or 4 songs from our first record, and we just sent them anywhere we could, like every record label, every fanzine, we sent it to Tooth and Nail. We heard that there's this new label and they're like the Christian Revelation Records, and like we were like, oh, this sounds awesome. So we sent it and they asked us to be on a comp they were doing called Helpless Amongst Friends, with bands like
Remember that one?
yeah, like Notice and Victim was on there, POD I think was on that, Focused, Unashamed, Bloodshed, like a lot of those bands on the West Coast. And we were just like, wait, are you telling me that this is going to be on CD, like compact disc? That's so awesome. Like we were like blown away. Like this
That
is going
blew
to
your
be
mind.
like it's like a printed booklet, like very professional, so we were just
Yeah.
super super happy. Um yeah, so and then from there, yeah, so they just said that they were interested in putting out our record. So, and again, we were just like, wait, you actually want to pay for us to record these songs? We don't have to pay for them. Okay, cool. You know, um,
Yeah, yeah.
and they they were just like a really hot label that like seemed like they knew what they were doing. I mean, they do. They did. Brandon came and when we were recording Atonement, he came and just hung out and um yeah, and just yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, Atonement and Advent are killer albums. I think they're you guys really kind of forged new ground with a lot of that like South Florida hardcore style. I think that's still pretty influential to a lot of bands today.
Yeah, it's interesting and we kind of laugh about it because like we feel like we're more popular now than we were when we were around. Um
Well,
uh,
somebody here said name your price.
I know.
Said name your price, and I'll see if the Furnace Fest guys will meet it. I heard there's plenty of coin to go.
Yeah.
No,
Nice.
it's and we $10 billion. Nice,
But
nice.
no, so wait, what was the question?
God, what was the question? Uh, help, 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 audience, help. We both forgot. We're old. Um, the collaboration with Tooth and Nail, I think. Was that where we were at?
Yeah.
Pick it
Oh,
up.
oh, popular now.
He's
Okay,
left.
so yeah, so I
Yeah,
feel like
popular now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting because at a certain point with Strong Arm, we felt like we were like, we just want to write some really original music that like no one I don't want to say no one's doing because we took a lot of cues from bands, but like we just want to write a record that we love. Like, and I think anyone who's in a band knows that sometimes you write things and you just kind of let it go and you're like, oh, that's okay, I guess, but we just really kind of went through the song everything with the fine tooth comb and just wanted to put out like a really great record. We were never in it for the money. We never thought that 20 something years later, 25 years later, I'd be talking about this for sure. And like when we played shows, we didn't like it was never for money. A lot of times it would just be like, hey, you guys, we'll get you guys a pizza or something, and we're like, okay, cool, you know.
Give you 20 bucks for
Yeah,
gas.
but and that's we were just so happy to do it, and more so it was a ministry for us, we really had a message and what we were trying to get out there, and it was most the thing about the message, it was like breaking down stereotypes of what Christians are and what they've done to people, you know,
Sure,
trying to spread it like that, and at a certain point at the end of high school, you're starting to have to live your real life, like, hey, you can't just get pizza and you're gonna spend all this time, and we were getting into all kinds of other kind of music, and you know, just soaking any like great music in like a sponge, and just felt like being in a hardcore band was just in a box, you're just in a box,
sure.
A lot of bands kind of felt that way too, like a band like Cave In, for instance, um, but they kept their name, and we just were like, "Hey, let's do something different, and let's like actually try. We might actually have a chance to like be musicians and like do this as a career kind of thing, you know?"
Yeah, their later stuff is it's pretty interesting, like it I couldn't even believe it was the same band. I was overseas and was in the military at the time, and I come back and everybody's like, "Hey, have you heard the new Cave In?" And I'm thinking Beyond Hypothermia and Until Your Heart
Yeah,
Stops. And they're like they put it on and it was just like just straight up rock, and I'm like, I can't even believe this is the same band.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, and it's great because the they were a great hardcore band, but you know you just can't suppress greatness. I don't think, it's just going to
Yeah.
shine through whatever they do,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, um, so let's kind of talk a little bit
Now,
about
I have a question for you because I saw you.
okay.
Are you Krishna? Because I saw the Krishna bag. I saw the bag.
Yeah, I am. I
Okay.
I am, and I got the
I
yeah.
saw.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. Which again, I have much utmost respect for Christians and pious people
Oh,
and
same.
all
Same.
people. Like
Yeah.
anybody all across the board. The Krishna consciousness philosophy
Mhm.
teaches that we're all spirit souls and we're all in this together. And I think that's kind of how people have to treat each other, which
Yeah,
I
of
think is
course.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, like, Strongarm, we played a couple shows with Shelter and had, like, some really great conversations with Ray, and just a lot of
Okay.
mutual respect. My wife was actually, raised in Krishna, uh,
Oh, nice.
she lived in a temple for a long time,
Oh, wow. I
yeah,
wonder if I know her.
well, Miami, if you're in the Miami temple.
No, I spent some time down in Gainesville.
Mm.
Um, but
Yeah, I know.
that's really interesting. Far out.
Yeah,
Hey,
the Gainesville temple,
FSF.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the
Gainesville
Gainesville
Temple.
temple, they used to come out to the shows in Gainesville and, like, do, what do they call it? Papadam? Uh, no,
Uh,
uh,
Harinam.
y I'm
Prashadam.
totally ruining it. Yeah, something like that.
Prashad. Like bringing food.
Prashadam, that's it. Yes, yes.
Prashadam. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. And all the vegans were like, "Yes, this is the greatest thing."
I know a
Yeah.
lot of people who got by in college because they used to do a free one in North Carolina. They would do uh they would have what they call the Krishna meal, and it was at UNC Greensboro, and they would just distribute it out there for free, and so many kids just showed up because hell, free food, why not? But yeah, Gainesville's like that too with University of Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hey, FSF, I just bought tickets for the show at the Glass House in Pomona with the movie Life. Nice. Looking forward to rocking out with yourself and others. FSF says that's
Yeah,
awesome. Let's go.
I'm looking forward to it too. It's been a long time since
Um,
we played the Glass House. Actually, I don't think Further has ever played there. Strongarm, we actually played there. One of our later shows, we actually played there with Unbroken and Mean Season there. I think it was
oh,
Unbroken's
nice.
last show.
Nice.
That was great. That was an awesome show.
That's
And a
awesome.
band called
Um,
Gehenna. I
oh, I remember that band.
I remember because they were really nice guys, and then they got on stage and they were wearing like workman suits, and one onesie suits, and then they took them off,
Yeah.
and they were wearing nothing but Saran wrap, and they they were just like going off, and then the owner of the club got really pissed off and shut the sound down.
Oh God.
That was awesome.
That is wild. I've never heard that story, but that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So, yeah, no, Shelter, Raghunath Ray is coming on this show here eventually. So, Strong Arm, you guys, you toured a lot and played a lot through like the mid 90s up until what, it was 98.
I think it was 98, yeah.
What were some of the experiences on the road like for y'all?
It was Stronger? Oh, it was some of the
Yeah.
greatest times I've ever had in my life, you know? Like, I there's just it was such an interesting thing because you get in a van or a Ryder truck, or we got the first one we got into a Ryder truck in the middle of winter, and we're all just in the back freezing our asses off. We're from Florida, and we drive like all the way up to Detroit, and it was awesome, just spending, making memories with your best friends, and like I think we went up to Connecticut as well, and like we would just like drive these crazy long like routes because it was just like whatever I could book like out of the back of Maximum Rock and Roll or something, and it was like I remember, so we did a tour. It was like Shiloh, their first tour, and um, Zayo, like a real early incarnation of Zayo with Sean and those guys, and um, I think our first show was in Cleveland, and then our second show was in like Seattle, and we had like a week to get there, and we just like slept like in the Badlands and like out, just like in like, there's no cell phones, like, we have road atlases, like i think I think our singer Chris had was going with like, and Josh were like going with like $20 in their pocket, and my mom felt bad and gave them another $20, and they were just we just like they just like Chris had this big thing of, he had a big Tupperware of hard boiled eggs that he's like, I'm just gonna eat a hard boiled egg every day. And needless to say, at the end of the tour, I found the Tupperware of hard boiled eggs under the seat, and it was terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Rancid. That probably smelled disgusting.
Yeah. I see. What's my favorite song that we've never got to
You've
play live?
never got to play live.
Wait, Further or Stronger? I don't think there is,
Maybe both.
because usually I play my favorite songs because they're our favorite songs. I have a habit of bullying the rest of the band into playing the songs that I want. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. So uh now, Strong Arm dissolved in 98, and then you guys picked it back up again. I remember hearing, oh, this is a new project from the guys in Strong Arm, called Further Seems Forever. And I was like, oh wow. And then I listened to it, and again, kind of a complete complete like 180 almost, yet you guys still had a lot of that melodic influence from like your hardcore days, you know? And so, what was the kind of the genesis for that? Like how did you guys decide, did you want to pick it back up again, or were you guys already playing at the time whenever you started the project? Was it like a start as a side project, or did it come about eventually as
Yeah. No,
something you started anew?
it wasn't a side project, but I think Josh and I started writing a song, and we were like, we just want to do something different, you know? Um, so Strongarm was winding down, and I remember I think we had one last show that we were gonna play in at Cornerstone Fest, and we were like writing, and then our other friend Matt Fox, who plays guitar in Shiloh.
Shiloh.
So Josh and Matt had they were in a band like when they were 13, called Planet X, and they like grew up writing like songs together, like playing guitar
Yeah.
together basically. And Matt was actually going to play guitar for Further, but then Shiloh started kind of gaining a lot of steam, and he just didn't really have the time. He's going to tell the story very differently, but he basically didn't have the time for it. And so we ended up having Nick, our guitar player from Strongarm, play with us, and it was um, it was very freeing to like not feel like we had to write a breakdown or like fill some kind of like hardcore like anthem kind of quota, because we in hardcore, like we always felt like everything had to be really epic, like everything just had to be like 1,000%, um, and that's awesome, but um, we just wanted to do things a little different, like approach it a little different. And I think a lot of the strong arm stuff still kind of comes through, because I think you can take the kid out of hardcore, but you can't take the hardcore out of the kid, right? So,
Right. That's
um,
right.
yeah. So I mean, even to this day, I think we, um, to a to a fault, probably approach our band a little bit too DIY than we probably should, but it's great, So yeah, I mean, so we just started writing that, and then one song turned into two, and then we started to think about, okay, who are we gonna get to sing for our band? Like, we really want to have a singer and not someone yelling. And we don't really know a lot of people who actually sing. So what are uh, we just were kind of like scratching our heads for a while, and then there's a band from South Florida called the Vacant Andes, and
Oh yeah.
they were like a great, I don't want to say pop punk, but like indie kind of punk, band. And they actually had two singers in their band, a guy named John Owens and another guy named Chris Caraba. And we were all Strong Arm played a ton of shows with them. They were always like awesome guys, and we would see them at parties, and we would, just we were friends, and I think the Vacant Indies were kind of winding down, and Chris, it was always a guy that was like, "Hey, I really passionate. I just want to play music," and that was like, and we just asked, "Hey, man, you want to get together and just like see what comes out?" He's like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome," So we just got together, and I don't even know if we ended up like writing music or anything like that. We were just hanging out, and and just felt good, felt right, um uh and
Quick question. How was the
yeah.
writing process for SFF different between the different singers? Was there ever any pressure to have the FSF sound between the records?
So yeah, so that's a good question. The writing process is not very different between singers. And because most of the time well, pretty much all the time, the music's written first. And that's how it starts. Um, One of the things that was interesting was because Chris, when he was a singer-songwriter like he is to this day, and um, it was it took a little bit to like figure each other out, you know. He Putting lyrics to the way we write songs was a challenge, but he was so good at writing melodies and writing lyrics that it just fell in place, you know. And the sound kind of really molded itself very quick, whereas like a band like Strongarm, it took a while for us to find who we really were, you know.
Mhm.
uh, and then with Jason, it was we just I mean, I don't know that we really know how to approach songs different, and we kind of do things very backwards, you know. A lot of bands, you hear they'll write records and they'll have like 50 songs and then they whittle them down. And like if we write something and we're like, "Oh, we don't like this." We just forget. We'll never It just goes in the garbage somewhere, you know? And then it takes us a really long time. I remember when we were getting ready to record our record, like the record company was so annoyed with us because it took so long. It takes so long. Everything we do takes so long. But with Jason, um, there definitely wasn't a pressure to have this FSF sound because um, it's we just always felt like we're just going to write what we want to write. And if we want to write like a record that has like hip hop vocals, then we'll do it. I don't think that we will, but you know, if we felt like that's what we wanted to do, we would do it, you know. You
Sure.
know, Jason, it was different. I think there was more pressure on him personally to because you know, Dashboard and Chris had really taken off, that there was a lot of pressure on him to like fill his shoes. But
Sure.
I think inside the band, we were like, we just do your thing, you know. You don't have to be anyone else. And Jason then really started to shine. And just he was a very talented. He was just a kid at the time. I think he was like 18 or 19, you know, and just had a lot of passion, and that's what we loved about him, you know. And it's just different. And then with John is John. And when we first started our band, we were like, we want to have someone that sounds like John Bunch, you know, because we
Sure.
love John. And John is just like the consummate professional, and just had he was he's just is John. So we just did his thing. He just did his thing, you know.
Right.
I hope that
That's
ain't
awesome. Yeah, let's see here. Says please come play Utah, Salt Lake City.
yeah.
Let's see another one.
Tell us about
What?
Pick Slide on Pictures of Shoreline. It's pretty
Oh yeah, I missed
sweet.
that one.
It's a pretty sweet pick slide, I will say. We probably did like 30 takes of it, is what I'm gonna guess.
Oh wow.
I
Let's
don't
see
know. I
here.
can't remember.
What one song would you choose to play if you could have one last go with each FSF era singer? That's a good question.
One one song like for each air. Well,
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I think a consensus amongst the band for Moon is Down is one of our favorite songs always was New Desert Life. Um, so I would say that, and I would say on How to Start a Fire, I think The Deep is one of my favorite songs on that. And with Hide Nothing, Lead the Way is actually one of my favorite songs there. And then also Uh, oh my gosh, I'm like having a brain fart on the name of this song. Anyway, yeah, so
What do
something
you
like
think?
that.
Let's see. Okay. And Jason was from Minneapolis, no?
Yeah, yeah. Jason was from Minneapolis. Man, that was an interesting time because um, we were looking for a new singer. We weren't even sure if we wanted to keep the band going, but we decided that once Chris left, like, hey, we this is what we wanted. We would do it anyway, so let's just find another singer. Who cares? But that process was really odd because it's not like we could just put a post on the internet. It was like not very many people had internet access. It was like all
Right.
AOL like chat rooms and stuff, and you couldn't send demo tapes. Because there's no MP3s, and you had to. So we got some demos, and things like we had some people we were trying out in between, but nothing that kind of like really felt the right thing, right? And when Chris was still in the band, we played in Minneapolis, and I think we played like a small festival with Jason's old band. He was in a band called Affinity, sorry, and we met briefly, and there was a guy who had a record label out there, or was actually in Detroit, that his band was on, that we were going to do a song for a comp. And anyway, the guy for this record label called Dead Droid Records put us in touch with Jason, who was interested in trying out, and he sent us a demo, and we really liked it, and he came out to Florida, and we practiced and hung out, and it just yeah. And then he got in a van and drove down like the next week, and he was just like fresh out of high school,
Oh no. Wow.
yeah, we ruined his life.
Yeah, the hardcore, indie emo scene tends to do that to a lot of bands. So,
Yeah, or
um,
music in
but
general.
like I was having a discussion the other day with some friends. There's also a lot of guys that have gone on to do some pretty awesome things. So I don't know. There's this old
Yeah.
meme. I don't know if you've ever seen this, where it says it's got a chasm, and then uh, uh, on one side of the chasm it says "My Dreams," and then the chasm is actually, it just says "Hard."
Oh yeah, I get that. It's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
it's so
glorious.
what I love about the scene though, it's like, man, there's people on all ends of the spectrums, like politicians, doctors, lawyers, drug dealers, like murderers, it's like crazy. Like it's kind of really cool. And it's kind of feels like a brotherhood, because when you or like if I'm a dad and I'm at a baseball game for my son, and like I'm wearing this Bad Brain shirt or something, and someone's like, "Hey man, Bad Brains," I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, we're good."
It's awesome.
You know?
Yeah. I went into a gas station one time wearing a Minor Threat shirt, and there was this guy in like a three-piece suit and tie, and he was like a shirt, man, like that. He looked like a total straight man. Like I think he was like a lawyer or something like that. And I was just like, wow, you just never know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's wild. Let's see here. Are there any plans for new music? If you did, would you ever consider having both Jason and Chris on the same album?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say we have plans, but we talk about stuff a lot. It makes it a little bit harder because everyone's like all over the place, and Chris is still really busy with his career. But yeah, we have thought about doing something like that, like maybe a split 7 inch. It's just putting pen to paper. And I feel like, and let's be honest, people love to say, I would love to hear new music, but when it actually comes out, they're like, it's not as good as the old stuff. And I get it because I'm that guy too. But
Mhm.
So I don't know. There's a little. It would have to be like we'd have to be pretty proud of it to do it. So
Right.
yeah. Well, I mean, we never say no. I think kind of the new theme of the band is like we don't we try not to be finite about stuff and just try to be like more open instead of saying like I'm never doing this or I'm never doing that. To just okay, we may if it works out or there's no pressure. And our other thing is like we don't put pressure on each other. If you can't do this, that's awesome. If you want to not play a show and watch Netflix all day, that's great. I love it.
Nice. Coral Talon, I hope I pronounced that right. Says any newer bands on the scene you'd like to play a show with?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton. You know, it's interesting because the older I get, the less connected to newer bands I feel like I am, and I don't like it. I think one of the reasons is I really love to listen to music and take it in, like like as an album or just not like one song, here. And it's really hard to just like listen to one song and like while you're like busy doing things. And so basically I end up not listening to a lot. But what's been great, like a lot of the festivals, is I hear a lot of bands that I'm like, oh wow, I really like this band. Like some of the bands that I really like from it's like Better Lovers or Mind Force. I really like them. I like Turnstile. I don't. Maybe they're not as cool as they once were, but I just because they're so big, it's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so I just when you hear a new band that's really good, there's like nothing like that, right? Nothing like that feeling.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm kind of in the same loop in that I don't really I don't really get to hear a lot of new music, unfortunately. I've been trying to get some newer blood on this show. I find it easier to get some of the old guard in here as opposed to like the newer bands. Like, and I don't even know any of like the newer bands, which is unfortunate. I think the last new like hardcore band I heard that was really awesome was Year of the Knife. That band, I was like, this band is sick.
Year
This
of the
band is
Knife.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'll
yeah,
have to check it
they're
out.
pretty incredible.
And then
Yeah,
I
the
like.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I like a lot of bands that are still going strong, like Terror, like hardcore bands, but that are just kind of like mainstays.
Yeah. Terror,
Yeah.
man, I remember the Terror demo, and it seems like it seems like just yesterday, and like they're still going strong, man. They've got such a good track record and back catalog.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider a solo side project without feeling like you have to do FSF expectations?
A solo, you guys don't want a solo side project. Me doing like bass riffs. I'll do like a Andre 2000 flute album. How about that?
That
Have you heard that?
would be great. No,
So Andre 3000, 2000, 3000 something
2000.
from
Yeah.
Outcast, he did it. He
Yeah.
just put out a solo record of just flute, of him doing flute.
No way.
Yeah.
It like some
I,
Jethro Tull type stuff or
yeah, it's crazy.
okay.
But I love it.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Let's see here.
Yeah, I do remember
Cameron,
playing the Thunderdome in Tallahassee. It's still
nice.
we always talk about it. We're always like the
That is sick.
Thunderdome. This place is going to be huge, and it was like 100 feet by 100 feet. It was so small.
It's not the Thunderdome in Mad Max.
No, it's not. It's not. Master Blaster is not there in Bartertown.
One two-man enter, one-man leaves. All right.
Yeah.
Cameron McGregor Black says, "I'll be at the March shows with the movie Life, and I'm so stoked. But I'm curious if there are any plans to do any shows with Chris on vocals."
Yeah, I mean, we always plan. I mean, well, there's no plans, but we're always open. We always love doing it with uh that that lineup. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yes, yes and no. It's always in our mind, but there's nothing on paper.
Um, I heard an album that you guys did. And this was like because wanted to go brush up on your back catalog and whatnot, and give everything a good listen again. And I saw you guys had some lullaby songs, which I didn't even know about.
Yeah,
How
so
did
that
that? And they sound really beautiful. Like, how did that come about?
yeah, so that
I mean, obviously, someone's having kids.
sure, yeah, that was just recent. There's a great company called Sparrow Sleeps, and it's basically guys from our scene that like probably, I mean, if I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have kids or had kids and listen to lullabies, and it's kind of really annoying. And they just thought it'd be awesome to do lullabies of bands that they love, you know? So, I
Mhm.
mean, they just did ours and some of the name of the record is called The Moon Is Up, yeah, apropos. And basically, yeah, so they do a lot of it. They do like Newfound Glory and like just a million, not a million, but a lot of bands from our scene. And it's really great. It's really great. Go check it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know that was like a whole
Yeah.
series. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
Let's see
it's
here.
so good that some of the other guys in the band are like, I like their versions of our song way better than the ones that we wrote. So
That's great. Nick Chapman says, "In or out on playing Furnace Fest this year?"
man, Nick, killing me. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if we can get enough people to petition the rest of the members, uh, they would do it.
Let's see here. Jimmy Lopez the second says, "Oh, and a little more than 10 years later, how would the experience of writing and recording Penny Black, how I think he meant to
How
say,
do you
how
feel
was
about
the
the
experience
album
of writing and
10 years
recording
later?
Penny Black, and how do you feel about yeah, yeah. That was
Oh,
actually my
that's
first intro to Chris singing.
interesting. Yeah. Man, it's crazy to think that that's 10 years ago because I think it was 10 years between Moon is Down and that record. And we did that because Chris had moved back down to South Florida and we were all living in South Florida and we were hanging out and we're just like, hey, want to like play some music? And we did. And we would get together every week and play music just like we used to. And it was amazing and fun and awesome. And we, over the course, I think of 3 or 4 years, we did that in Chris's studio. And looking back on it, I there's some things I would change about the record, but there's some really good stuff on there too. Um, but overall, I think it's pretty good. Um, I don't know. I you know I don't know. I don't know. I like it. I really like it. That's why we put it out. And yeah, but I feel that way about every record that we put out. There's things on there I'm like, I don't know. And we all have our own opinions about different parts and the way we played things and the recording of it and this and that.
See, Elation, Elegance, Exaltation says, "Tour in the Philippines with
Toward the
boyfriend."
Philippines, yeah, my wife's been pushed because my wife's Filipino, and
Nice.
by proxy, my kids are Filipino too. And so, yes, we want to definitely, that'd be cool.
That's awesome. What do you like? What do you do like in your typical day to day experience? Like what is a day in the life of Chad Neptune like?
My normal job, my day job. Yeah.
Like
No,
normal job, J
yeah,
job, or just
sure.
even routine?
My typical day is I wake up later than I probably should. Um,
Glorious.
on the days my son is in high school, and so we'll give him a ride to school. He's a sophomore, and my wife and I take turns. I'll drop him off at school, then I'll work. I do user experience design for a software company, and that's what I do. I work from home, which is amazing. I do that. I'll pick my son up at school. I'll watch his baseball practice. If he has baseball games, I do that. I'll maybe play a little guitar, play a lot of video games, and that's pretty much it. Make dinner, eat dinner, mostly eat. But yeah.
That's the best part. Tim Cruz says, anyone you would like to collab with? Uh, anyone you would like to collab on
Like a
on on
super group type
with?
thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, with like yeah.
Um, Man, I gotta tell you, anyone that I'd want to collab with, I'd be super nervous about playing with, you know? But yeah, I don't know. That's such a weird thing because some of those super groups, I'm like, man, this is not that awesome. It's like Temple of the Dog, right? Like you're like, oh man, you got Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder, and this is terrible. I can't listen to it.
Mm, they
But
were not very good.
it's just like I don't know. That's a hard one. But yeah, there is people that I'm sure that I would love to like play with, but I'd probably just love to watch them play more than actually play with, you know? But that's a good question. I always felt like our band was kind of like a Santana where we just get some singer to sing on it. Like maybe we'll have like Rob from Matchbox 20 come on and
Matchbox
sing
20, yeah,
sing, you know?
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Jason Demo says, if FSF goes on tour, who decides the logistics for personnel? How does Chris feel about singing "How to Start a Fire" songs? Good
No.
question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, personnel is we just like I assume which lineup. Well, so we recently did a 20-year anniversary for How to Start a Fire. Did some shows, so that was easy. We knew that hey, there's only certain guys that are on How to Start a Fire. But we basically ask who wants to do it, starting with the guys who started the band, the founders of the band, and then hey, if they don't or they can't or whatever, then we go on to the next one. Or then if it's specific to like Moons Down, we'll do with Chris. If it's specific to House of Fire, we'll do it with Jason. And Chris he loves doing How to Start a Fire songs. He kind of relishes the opportunity. He's just like Jason likes doing Moons Down songs. Um, because we kind of call ourselves a family. We call ourselves a like further family because we're so um, dysfunctional like a family, but we love each other like a family kind of thing. So, yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Martin Lee says, any chance of coming to Minneapolis?
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a good one. I mean, Jason is from Minneapolis. I know he has people love him there.
Big
Yeah,
fan.
of course. Yeah, there is a chance for sure.
RJ says, I was really hoping for When We Were Young festival that you would be able to play and do a full album of HTSAF.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know what the logistics are of all that. I always felt like our band further kind of fell into this weird like category where we uh, didn't kind of fall in with some of the more like pronounced bands from that time, like Taking Back Sunday or like Thursday. Great bands, uh, great guys. But I always felt like we were a band's band. Like I feel like people that were into making music kind of appreciated us more than people who were just casual listeners. Um, and with that being said, I don't think that we do particularly great at festivals because we really like thrive on the club environment, um, and we just I think we I'm not sure if we submitted to that festival or not. That's a weird one. I don't know. We probably would have done it, but I don't know. Essentially, I don't think they asked us. So, but that'd be a question for our booking agent. I don't know.
Cameron McGregor Black says, "Do you guys currently have a booking agent, or would I contact you directly to set up a Hawaii trip for the band?"
Well, you had us at Hawaii trip. So, yeah, yes, we have a booking agent. If you want, you can contact me, Chad Neptune, and I'll get it to you. We our booking agents at Reliant Booking out of Nashville. Yeah, just contact me.
Nice. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is it Josh or Yoshi? Joshi? Forgive me. I got to see you guys play The Moon Is Down in a red barn in Philadelphia where you all had mustaches and played
Uh-huh.
hacky sax with you guys after. My life is complete. Thank you.
Man, did we have mustache? I know, like we did this thing. We were like, we're not gonna shave, and we all like grew beards. And then I think it kind of went rogue at some point there. Um, yeah, that was awesome. Those were the best days, man. We used to love to play frisbee too. We had like frisbee names. I have a good story. So we all have we we always called our frisbee like circuit the pro circuit, and like you had to complete a certain amount of tricks in order to get earn your frisbee name. So we all had frisbee names, and then some of the bands that we would play with would like they would get frisbee names, right? So we I think in Philadelphia it might even have been that show this guy's talking about. This band called The Operation played, which is guys from Me Without You, the singer, a couple of the guys, and uh, one of the guys, Marty from Zayo. And anyway, so they earned some frisbee names, and uh, two of the names, one of the names was Bullet. Our drummer Steve, his frisbee name was Bullet, and one of the guys in their band's name was Binary. So you'd throw the frisbee from Bullet to Binary, and that's where Me Without You got the name of that song, Bullet to Binary. So I don't know.
Oh, didn't know
I
that.
always thought that was
How
funny.
come no one comes to Colorado?
Oh, I want to come to Colorado. See, I was born in Colorado. My dad still lives there. We love playing there, and that's one of the places we were talking about playing. So yes, we may come to Colorado.
I remember you guys since Pure Volume in MySpace days, bringing it back. You're always on my playlist. Fan here from Philippines, Richard. Let's see here. Adam Baxter says, "Thanks for being such a great influence during such an
Mabuhay.
important point in my life." What's that?
I just said Mabuhay. It's from
Uh,
yeah, it's like a Filipino thing.
oh, I wouldn't know. Let's see here. Haberdolf, let's see. Do you like the Mayday Parade cover of the New Year Project?
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I feel honored that bands would want to like cover our songs. I remember we played with when Mayday Parade was just a new band starting out, like they opened for us, and we were just like, this band's awesome. Like, and we just like had them play shows with us. So it's an honor.
Katie Shepherd says, "Can you come to Chile?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love to do all that stuff. The problem is like I said, we don't really consider ourselves an active band. Like this isn't our career. We do it because it's fun. And we want to do it, to like it's good for the soul, you know what I mean? So
Did the band
it's
ever
just finding
play
time.
did the band ever play Insincerity as an art form live before?
Yeah, unfortunately. Nah, I mean, yes, we have. We can play it. It's not our favorite song to play. It's interesting that you noticed that.
Tim says, "By the way, thanks for Strongarm too. Your music has and always still inspires me."
Thank you.
Richard says, "Yeah, Mabuhay means cheers or like long live."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Um, so yeah, what do you do um what do you do to like other creative pursuits, other endeavors? What do you got going on?
Um, well, that's a challenge, It's interesting. Like, you personally, you get so involved in like work, family, like all those things that you you kind of lose some of that creative side uh, that that I once had. So I'm trying to find that again. I think, I it's pretty common for people our age to like have that same be in that same place in your life. What do I do, when my kids go to college, what am I going to do, you know what I'm saying? So creatively, I help my wife's she does she's an artist, so I'll help her like do installing and stuff, but that's not really my creativity outlet, right? But yeah, I don't really have a good answer. I'm just talking.
Let's see. Katie Shepherd says, "You have fans in Chile waiting 20 years to see you. I really hope you consider it."
That'd be awesome.
Um, I'm a big media guy. I have a entertainment background, Hollywood. What do you typically like? What's some of the things that you've been like watching or
Oh man,
what do you what's
I
that?
I watch it all. I watch it all.
You don't watch anything.
No, I watch everything.
Oh, you watch. I thought you
f-
said you
yeah,
don't watch it all.
I feel like I watched everything on every streaming platform. It's kind of sad, but
Really?
I'm looking forward to the premiere of True Detective tonight. So
Oh, that would be season 4, correct?
yeah, yeah, with Jodie Foster, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
wow. I heard season 2 was not really that good. And then I didn't really hear anything about 3, but that first one was amazing.
yeah, the first one was great. I rewatched the other ones recently, and I actually liked them a lot better the second time. So some of the other man, there's so many. I mean, I like all the basic ones. I like rewatching a lot of like I watched The Wire recently. I like West Wing. We're rewatching that. I watch The Office like literally every night before I go to bed because it puts me in a good headspace. And
Right.
me and my wife. Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't know if you've seen Godzilla -1.
Oh yeah, it was really good.
Whoa, so good.
Yeah,
Such a good
although
movie.
the show Monarch, not that great.
Yeah, I heard that wasn't too great. And by the way, we have a Godzilla shirt in the hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Godzilla inspired, so we don't get sued. Um, but it's a cool shirt. It's hand drawn by my boy Justin Campbell from Violent Life, Violent Death. Light Up Ahead is my all-time favorite song, and I'm just starting a clothing brand called Light Up Ahead Apparel. How about that? Proceeds go to help homeless youth in my city.
Oh,
Nice.
wow, that's amazing. That's really
Sounds like a
amazing.
good cause. Let's see here. Milo Miller says, I really appreciate you, Chad. The 2023 Furnace Vet set was super rad. Thanks for signing my vinyl. Cheers. I guess a good question for you would be, what are your goals in the forthcoming year? What do you got like planned? What do you hope to get accomplished?
Um, yeah, so we got these shows coming up with the movie Life, which is cool because they're doing a 20 something year anniversary of their record, and we toured with them on that record together 20 something years ago. So it's cool to be able to do these shows. It's only a couple in California. We're doing Southern California and one in Berkeley. And then there may be some things in the iron, some more shows. We're probably going to do something for Hide Nothing, the anniversary of that, um, which should be good.
Nice.
Is that is
Okay.
that is that as secretive as I can be?
Let's see here. Okay. One last, guys. I don't have time to watch this right now, but I wanted to tell you how much I've appreciated all the music over all the years and all the lead singers. Loved every single one. Thanks, fellas. And
Yeah.
FSF says heart. Um, anything you want to promote or anything like that before we go? Like any other projects you got going? Any other friends projects you got going?
Man, I mean, definitely come out to the shows if you're in Southern California or in Berkeley in March, March 1st. Come out to the shows, hang out, have a good time with us, and we'd love to see you there. Also, like the Sparrow Sleeps, which is the lullabies versions of our songs. Check them out. It might actually put you to sleep as well. I know as we get older, our sleep rhythm gets disrupted very easy, so maybe it'll help you as well. But
I'm I'm gonna let you know, man. I'm struggling right now. I quit drinking coffee a long time ago, and I picked up a vape a long time ago, and I'm grinding right now. So I
oh
feel you
wow,
on the sleep schedule thing. Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
quit coffee, huh? That's tough.
Oh, a while ago, yeah, just too much anxiety.
Yeah, I hear you there, man, for sure.
See, is playing Hide Nothing songs hard emotionally without John?
Yeah, I think it was definitely weird for a while. Yeah, but actually it's really therapeutic. It's really great. Not it's interesting when people pass someone who's not like a musician or something passes someone passes away, they don't really have a lot that they share with a lot of people. It's like personal items or like family type stuff. But to have this legacy that you share with so many people, it's really therapeutic, and it's 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 great, and I never thought I'd be in a situation where I was playing music from a member of my band that was had passed away. So it's surreal, and it's great, and it's sad, and all those things.
Let's see here. Elation, elegance, exultation. I'm really glad that you have some sort of Filipino background, Chad. I'm still wishing the band will play the whole The Moon is Down and Penny Black album here in the Philippines. I'm going to prepare adobo, lumpang,
Lumpia,
Shanghai, and pancit for the whole
pancit.
team. You guys, pancit? Okay.
Yeah, but it's got to be
Uh,
vegetarian because I'm vegetarian.
Very good.
Yes, yes, and thank you. Yes, I will be eating it all.
Very cool. Um, so yeah, dude, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And everybody that has joined the chat, I want to thank you guys so much. If this is the first time seeing my channel, I know Chad hooked it up through the for the FSF Facebook, which is fantastic. Um, so I would love it if you guys liked, commented, shared, and subscribed, and clicked on that little bell for notifications. And as you can see, official merchandise is at hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. And if you like movie inspired designs, you might like what I've got going on. I'll throw a few up here real quick. Um, we got the black flag. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. The black flag mock. We've got the bullet mock.
That's a good
We've
one.
got the Psycho 2 mock. The
Scream.
the Scream, yeah, Scream glow in that one glows in the dark, by the way.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
then also another Scream, Randy glow in the dark. So yeah, check those out. Check out and support me, and please support Chad and all his creative endeavors. Further Seems Forever, the prospective uh, reunion show at Furnace Fest with Strongarm. Hopefully we can make that happen, man. I'd make the drive.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think sometimes you struggle with let the legacy like speak for itself. Don't ruin it, right?
Sure.
So I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
But everybody, I want to thank you so much for coming. Namaste. Jobless. Be good. Thanks again to Chad Neptune. Appreciate you, dude.
L'chaim. All right. Have a good one, man.